Well, hello and welcome again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Depending on where you're coming from, where you're joining us today, if you could give me a thumbs up in the chat, we'll make sure that the technology is working. And I will dive into this. Looking forward to today's session. So, in case you have missed some of the previous ones, I just realized we're almost a full 12-month cycle. So I started covering chapters from the book, right, back in April last year, start of April, and we're almost there now. So there's over 40 in total. And each session has been an amazing learning workshop opportunity, tasks of things that you can do. Of course, the book also has your 196 different strategies. Just in case you're wondering, you can get the book on Amazon, biqorg.com/books. There are other books there. Volume 2 is already started, so that's in progress. I'll talk about that shortly. There are white papers, other books. I've written a few books. Not all of them are there, but they're being loaded slowly onto the platform. We have lots of software to help you. We've got coaching app, leadership app, marketing apps. We've got lots of assessments. I'll talk about the assessments in a moment. But I just want to make sure, of course, that everything is working. So today's topic is week 8 of part 4 of the book. So when you do get an opportunity to either get the book or start watching those videos or go back through them, you can use the chapters from the book in parallel with this. I guess I should have my picture up here. So there we go. Right. So you can do all of that in conjunction with the book. So this is chapter 8 of part 4 of the book, which is the final part. The book is based on our methodology, the cause methodology, which I'll be expanding on over the coming year, because now that we get into volume 2 of the book, there is a whole bunch more that I would like to share with everybody. In fact, if you are keen to get started on your journey, the LISA assessment is online, and really it's looking at that first stage of your leadership or coaching development program, starting with calibration. All right, and so the O is for ability to observe others. So if you follow the book and the sequence, it follows the pause methodology. The C is really your self-awareness, to calibrate where you're at. The O is to observe others and to understand the dynamics with other people so that you can shift to adapting and aligning your style according to whoever you're working with and so forth. So it's going deeper than you would normally need to if you're just if you're not in a leadership role. So I digress. Let me just make sure everything's working. Cool. Great. Thanks. Let's get started. Today's topic is an interesting one. It's about the intelligence reality. It's really starting to wrap up a lot of what we learned and the alignment of behavior with culture, with the organization, and so forth. So with today's advancements in AI and digital world, data is becoming huge. Over the past several decades, we've seen the emergence of data playing a bigger role in business consistently. So it started when I started my career as TQM, Total Quality Management. We were tracking that. We went into business re-engineering. Then Six Sigma came out and Lean Six Sigma came out. And now we've got EOS, we've got cores. All of these methodologies are really tools that have focused more and more on data. Whereas today, we're really saying, hey, the data is great, but it's the behavior that makes a difference, right? So organizations spend a lot of money on these tools and methodologies and systems, only to go back and say, hey, it hasn't worked. We haven't changed. It's still the same. And they wonder why, right? And so what we're going to focus today is that why, what happened, what's the journey, what's the missing piece? And so we can actually understand the importance of people and behavior. And you've seen me do this quite often. It's all your KPIs, your business, as well as your behavioral side of things. In fact, cores, I don't know if I have that slide up here, but cores is a methodology that applies to both the culture and the behavior of the team, the people, but also the same methodology is used on the business. And so over the next year, I'm going to spend a lot more time on that combination. Okay, so get back to today. Today's 6 principles. Intelligence isn't about what you know. Data can just end up being noise. The agility within an organization really comes from behavior, not from information. The culture, I'll talk about culture as well. It's really, what is a culture? It's the observable, consistent behavior of a group, right? So it's habits, but they are consistent in an organization. So if you want to make change, the change isn't through systems, it's going to be through people. And now the important part is the finish of that, and that's to make it the heartbeat and to put these processes, and I'll share with you a couple of workshops that you can do. So let's start with the first one. Intelligence isn't what you know, it's how you behave. Right? Why is that important? So organizations spend a lot of money educating people, training them, doing assessments. You know, so many people I talk to have done, you know, DISC, Myers-Briggs, Hogan, all of these tools. And when you talk to them and say, well, what change have you made? And, you know, they basically say, well, I haven't. Where is that report? Well, it's in a drawer somewhere. So when we talk about using assessments, you know, the AccuMatch assessment is the one that goes a lot deeper, but it's a coaching journey. So we look at the map in different ways in order to understand the context of the real life situation that someone is going through in order to tweak and understand the behavior. So it's a coaching tool or a development tool rather than a report on how you are, because we're not fixed, we're constantly learning and growing, and everyone that I speak to comes to us with the intention of wanting to improve, wanting to get better. And so getting a report sent to them is totally useless. It's really about the engagement that they get with our coaches to be able to grow and leverage that knowledge, because you need that external perspective in order to help you with that. I digress. Getting back to here, so intelligence isn't the knowledge. You can have all the education in the world and all of the best intentions in the world, but if you do the wrong things, you've heard me talk about this many times, the behavior is what gets you the results, right? Not your mindset, not your intentions, not your education, right? And we've seen this many times. I've shared lots of stories of people getting degree after degree, getting PhDs, but they're still struggling in their life, their career. It's not because of what they know. They know lots of stuff. They know more than most people, and they've probably forgotten more than most people know. So it's not the knowledge, it's the behavior, right? And the types of behavior are really grounded in some of these key points on here. It's about the curiosity, the asking questions, the exploring. I'm often asked the question, what's my strength? My strength is really solving problems. When there aren't problems around, I'm pulling my hair out. I'll go crazy. I need to go and, find things that I can solve. I solve them through either people and behavior and methodologies or software and solutions. I have that unique opportunity in my career to have worked both sides of that. So it's an opportunity to do that. So intelligence emerges when teams practice the behavior routinely, right? Routinely means automatic, unconscious. It's programmed in their brain. Last week, I talked a little bit about our fight and flight mode versus our frontal lobe, our logic, our ability to do things. And I've talked about networks and myelinating sheaths of highways in your brain so that you're automatically doing things without even thinking. It's unconscious competence. It's easy stuff, right? Not to switch completely over to just sticking to the easy stuff. Sometimes you want to do the hard stuff. That's the stuff that is your blind spot, that is holding you back, right? So don't forget that. That's just as important. Often it's the key to transformation. So here's some exercises. Your first exercise today is, list one key intelligence behavior you want to design, right? Build the habit. I've talked about practice, right? You need to develop the habit of doing that. Frequency is key. Principle number 2, let's look at another example. Data without behavior is just noise. There's just so much information coming at us. In fact, the statistics show that our attention span has changed from 15 to 20 seconds to about 7 seconds. So that's because of the amount of information that's coming at us. We sift through things quickly. We don't read unless the headline or something catches our attention, right? So in this scenario, the company we're working with invested heavily in analytics and data and dashboards and all kinds of things, but nothing changed, right? Again, alerts went unacknowledged. Dashboards became just a bunch of things that people skip past. Things weren't working the way they expected. And the reason wasn't because the dashboards were bad or the tools were bad or the data was bad. It was because of the lack of implementation of the behaviors that need to go with that, right? So if you don't analyze the data and become curious and ask questions about it and discuss it and talk about the feedback, then the data is just noise. Who's it for, right? You need to ask the question, who benefits from that? If it's just for upper management, then that's useless. It really needs to be for everybody in your organization. It's got to filter down so that everybody has a responsibility to the dashboard that feeds up the chain within your organization. So those things are really important. You can run workshops on that. My recommendation is build it into your weekly meetings, review the dashboards, talk about the dashboards, have discussions between different people and their success with different parts of the dashboard. It doesn't need to be a huge activity. If you do the morning huddles, right, those are just 5-10 minute huddles, 15-minute maximum, where people exchange what they're going to do today, how they're going to approach that, what they're going to improve, what worked, what didn't work, etc. So, principle 3, agility comes from behavior. What does that mean? Right, so organization was really keen to improve their response times and respond quickly, adapt quickly, and so forth. So the plans were great, right? They spend quite a lot of time in closed rooms, making up all these plans, putting it all together. But again, nothing happened. And it didn't because of the behavior intelligence wasn't put into place to support that, right? So the ability to continuously monitor the market, the competition, right? So in one of the situations, I think it was one that's here. Let me see if that was there. Nope, it's coming up. So create scenarios where if you get a situation where a competitor, as happened in this case, released something disruptive, a disruptive feature that really is likely to steal market percentage of the market from you, you want to be able to adapt to that. So if you're not monitoring that, if you're not doing the regular analysis of these things, it doesn't have to be huge, but it needs to be consistent. It needs to be habitual, right? So take a look at the habits around your agility. It comes from behavior, not from just plans or suggestions. You've got to do it. Yeah. Cultures, the intelligence. Sorry, I digress because I'm thinking of, culture is so important to us. In fact, let me just jump into that very quickly. When we launched AccuMatch, one of the biggest things that we had was actually labeled culturography, and the focus was really how do we understand a culture that's working versus a culture that's not working. So within the AccuMatch platform, we developed the ability to map groups of people in an organization or teams in order to compare culture, just like we're doing there. You can overlay it, you can see the subtle differences that really are the impact of, if you look at these maps, there's some things that really stand out and a lot of things that are very similar, maybe shifted a little bit. Those are the subtle differences between a successful team or organization versus a less successful one. So that's why we build all of these tools. Cores, is the gap, the journey to that heightened knowledge and understanding of behavior and systems and tools. AccuMatch is the deeper dive into the specific neural patterns of a individual or a team. So all of that, it's built for a reason. When I said earlier, I like to solve problems. These are the things that we're excited about helping organizations, leaders, coaches to solve these things, right? So a company said we are innovators, we're a learning culture. They spend a lot of money on that, but the habits weren't there to support that, right? So things like knowledge sharing opportunities between different departments or between different teams of doing the same things, right? So the opportunity is, run lunch and learns to internally, not always having to be to invite clients to generate leads. These can be internal opportunities. Assess your reach, the frequency, your data. Encourage people to ask questions, to be curious about change and improvement. Organizations don't change, people do. People are the catalyst for change. Just because you put a whole bunch of new systems in place, and, as I talked about a few weeks ago, train the people in the systems, and then, a month later, you're pulling your hair out because all of that training, nobody's actually using the system. So you spend all this a year maybe developing and researching and finding the right tools and implementing that system, and you ran a training session with everybody on your team, and that was it. And now you expect everybody to have done the instant switch, and they haven't. And you go, why? Well, the reason is you didn't address the behavior that needs to be in place in order to allow people to evolve, right? I call it evolve. Why? Because the very first thing is going to be friction, right? They're going to be uncomfortable. You need to show them, you need to support them. They're going to fall off that journey, off that wagon, if you like, and go back to the old way unless you have the cultural habits and systems to support that, right? So transformation occurs through repetition, through the collective, the support, the rewards. We talked about that, recognition, case studies, the early adopters, that you not only just test the system, but get the champions that you're going to have in your organization to continue that rollout, so that the evolution is an organizational evolution just as much as it is a personal evolution. So people will grow and will evolve and they will get better. You just need to allow them the time to do that. In an organization, it's the same way, right? It goes deeper in the organization as more and more people take it on, but you've got to have those champions that drive it and monitor it and track it and support others and so on. So, important to think of the people as opposed to just the technology. Again, it's those two things coming together. That's why CORES is so important to us, because it's the one methodology that I've come across that isn't just on KPIs or just on behavioral sciences. It's actually the methodology that is used for both. And, this goes back several decades. I won't age myself, but that's what we were doing when we were doing business reengineering in the 80s. And so we're looking at processes and people and interaction of the two and the dynamics, and it's been a long journey. There's been so much data that I have been fortunate to have experienced and collected, and all of this is being now put into these modules, these workshops, these courses that I run. All right, principle number 6, make it the heartbeat of your intelligence strategy, right? This organization, had great intentions of being the leader in the consulting arena, and they were doing some great things, but they're doing them in silos. There was, one team was doing great, the other team wasn't, and so forth, and there was no cross pollination. So the internal silos that developed from that was unfortunate, because they were each learning different things because of the experience they were getting with their clients, diverse clients. No two clients are ever going to be the same. And so if you don't cross-pollinate that knowledge, that information, and the application of your systems, your processes, your tools, you're missing on a huge opportunity to really elevate the company as a whole. Okay, I call that the heartbeat, right? So when you have that in place, look at when you have that in place, you will turn the company into a leader, whether it's a product leader, information leader, or high service leader. It doesn't matter which area, it comes back to the people are the heartbeat of your organization, and the systems around people, not just the business, are the critical part of that. So doing, if you're launching a new project with a new team, bring people from the old team in to talk about the onboarding process, for instance, or share that knowledge and experience. Run different checkpoints. We call them pulse checks. Check the progress. We did one with an organization where we wanted everybody on the team, because they were all working with different departments, to then feedback into what's happening between the organization, between different people within corporate organizations, and that uncovered some huge opportunities and deepened the relationship that team had within that organization. It increased their revenue 5 times just within that one organization. So all of these things are really, they're simple. They're not difficult, guys. It's just you need to allocate time to do these things, right? I laugh because we all get so busy sometimes and get caught up in our own little world that we forget that actually you need to give up all that stuff in order to do this stuff, right? It takes time, takes energy, but I guarantee you, focusing on behavior will get you far greater multiplier of results than just focusing on systems. But if you figure out how to do both, it's exponential. Okay. Again, the intent of course is to be the gateway to that heightened success through behavior and through systems and processes. All right. So summarizing today, behavior is more important than knowledge. Okay. So focus on understanding where both fit in. Behavior is far more important. It's going to get you greater results than just data. Okay. All those people that focus on KPIs and so on and forget that there is people actually doing that and getting those results. Wake up, guys, right? Behavior is greater than planning. So when it comes to agility, focus on the behavior that is important in the processes. I use my hands a lot, don't I? All right. behaviors greater than headlines, slogans, culture statements, all that sort of stuff. It still comes down to culture has to be, you can map it as I've shown you, right? You can map them together, but you need to understand the differences in the map and be curious about the behavior that creates these different results that you get within your organization. So culture, yes, using data, but behavior is critical. People are the ones that are going to drive change in your organization, not just the technology. Right? And then make your processes focused around the heartbeat of the organization, about the people and the dynamics. It's very easy with remote workers and diverse locations to lose sight of the importance of just having a huddle or a lunch and learn. You can do a lunch and learn over Zoom or over any platform, right? You just need to make it a habit, right? We found it useful, by the way, to pair up people for lunch. And it's interesting, when you have a group of people, there are a few outspoken ones, but when you just have two people, right, the conversation is completely different. So try both, right? Okay. All right. So your roadmap this time is it's a 3 months one. You need to do this. It doesn't just happen in a week. You need to put all of these in place, pick one and work with it, right? Check where the noise is, check where the culture is, where the behavior is, where the plan is, all of these things. And there is a great workshop for that. And for those that haven't heard me talk about that, we do run workshops for leaders and organizations. They are not just a quick pill, they are a journey. So be prepared to commit to the journey. Each piece is like a puzzle that you are putting together that allows you the information, but also the implementation, the practice, the workshops, the check sheets. All of these things are part of what we do in our workshops and sessions. All right. So where are you at the moment? Where are you investing your money, your time? Is it in the right place? Do the balance check between those so that you cover it well. Your assignment, again, this one, I'd like you to go back through weeks 1 through 8 today, just so that when we review that and summarize your 90-day plan next week, you are well grounded and are ready for that, right? So without further ado, that's where we're at. See you next week, same time, same channel, and be ready for the next journey. Volume 2 of the book will start to dive into a lot of those tools together. All right. So thank you for joining. I look forward to seeing you next week. As usual, we'll be watching the chat, the conversations, and if anybody has any questions, you know where to find me. Lisa is biq.org/Lisa, or books or events. They are all under the biq.org.com site. So thanks, and see you next week.